All right. Hello, this is Brad Wiseman. You're listening to Real Estate and You, where every week we have somebody coming in talking about real estate, talking about mortgages, talking about title companies, all kinds of stuff. Well, today we have a guy that I have been trying to get on here forever, and he's been snobbing me off forever, and it's just amazing. I finally got him to come in here, and he's my good friend, Kevin Timochenko. And, you know, Kevin, every time I think your name, I think about real estate. Actually, I see your name and it's just real estate pops in my head. How you doing?
Wonderful, Brad.
Wonderful, good. You look good, and you're past COVID, and everybody's doing okay.
Everyone's doing great.
Excellent. So I wanted to bring you in today. You know, I don't know if people know Kevin, but when you're listening to this podcast, Kevin has a company called Metropolitan Companies. Now it's called, right?
That's good pickup. You
yeah,
saw that, right?
I was on the website last night, and I have to say we've known each other for 20 some years. I'd say whatever, and I was on the website, and it blew me away. You're doing so much. You have Metropolitan Companies. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a development company, a building company, and a management company. It's all those things together, but you have different companies within that company, correct?
That's the umbrella company.
That's the umbrella. So that's the one on top. So why don't you do this? Tell me your story. How did you get into investing in real estate?
How far back do you want to go?
I want to go back to the very beginning. I kind of remember you buying a 2-unit or something like that, you told me a story at one point about buying a property, and you were really nervous, and it was a big deal.
Well, the first property I ever bought was a row home.
Okay. In Reading, right?
743 Birch Street.
You actually remember the address?
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
So when I moved, I moved here for a job in 1985.
Okay.
And I was looking for real estate.
Gotcha.
And I bought this house for $9,000.
Wow.
Out of bankruptcy.
Wow.
And
what was the condition of that house?
No running water.
Oh my gosh.
And no windows.
Oh gosh. Wow.
So I had to borrow $1,400 from my sister to buy it.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember, going to that first settlement. And I've never been in a settlement. I was a 22-year-old kid. I thought there's going to be big, ugly, hairy people there. And they're going to, so I have no clue what I was doing. Well,
you don't know, right? You have no idea, right?
My father was a school bus driver. So
I
wasn't raised in a real estate family. And bought it for $9,000. And the girl I was dating at the time, her father came and put all the plumbing in, which in a row home, it's only like 30 feet.
Yeah, right, exactly.
15 feet in and 15 feet up. So
that's
it wasn't
right.
a lot.
It's not a lot. Yeah.
But it took me a few months to do that. And I tell people I took cold showers.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
For 3 months because I had no furnace.
Hot water.
I had no hot water. I couldn't afford the furnace yet.
Oh my gosh. Hot water. So you're living in this
place.
Living
in it. We're living in it. And like all, I was poor.
Yeah.
And like all poor people, you get your friends to help. It's
right.
funny.
Of course.
People don't help me now. Yeah. But they help me. They don't come
so
in.
True, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So all my college friends came and we painted the inside.
That's funny.
We painted the outside. And my next door neighbor, as luck would have it, worked for E.G. Smith.
Oh, wow.
Putting furnaces in.
Boy, that's a good friend to have right there.
So you put a furnace in for a case of beer.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
I finally had hot water.
Wow.
So I used to go to the Y. YMCA,
yeah, because they had the facilities.
And I would just that's why I take a lot of my showers. I'd work out and just try to take.
How old are you at this point?
22.
Oh my gosh.
22, 23. And sold it. I was being transferred to New England.
Oh, interesting.
I knew this when I took this job for Cabot in Boyertown. And I sold it for $23,000 3 months later. Thought I was a millionaire.
Yeah.
Made $14,000. I never saw that kind of money.
Right. But did something go off in your head at that point? Did something go, wow, this is pretty interesting? Did it hit you then or no?
So, no, it hit me prior to that when I was in college.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what field to go into. And back in college in the 80s, the wealthiest people in the world were media, oil and gas, and real estate.
Interesting.
Well, the first two, I really sucked at English.
So right.
And I wasn't anywhere near oil and gas.
I was going to say not a whole lot of oil in Pennsylvania in this area. Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to go into real estate.
Wow. So that's the conscious decision that happened right there.
Right.
That's amazing.
And
totally amazing.
As luck would have it,
I
moved to Berks County, which I never even heard of. and real estate was so cheap.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
couldn't have done this in Montgomery County where I grew up.
Correct.
My first house would have been $120,000, which I couldn't afford it. Versus $9,000 a row home.
That's an interesting point, is that it had a lot to do with location. Well, they always
Sure.
say real estate's location, location, location. So that had a lot to do with location. And then, so you go from that. Now, did you have in your mind, this is a question I thought of last night. Did you all of a sudden go, I want to be a real estate mogul then? Like did you know it was going to get to the level that it's at right now?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You don't know exactly.
So the vision was there.
Vision was there since I was 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, I tell people this without sounding weird or corny or whatever.
No, not at all.
You know, I think like there's certain people who just have that vision and you know, make it come. Like, whether it's Barbra Streisand in music or like, they know at a very young age who they're going to be.
Yeah.
I just knew I was going to be that. I didn't know the form because you're a young kid. And you
Absolutely.
don't know, but I just knew I was going to get there.
Well, you know what it is? I think you figure out the rest. If you have that, if there's that thing out in front of you, you don't know where the rights are going to be or the lefts are going to be. You don't know any of that stuff, but the vision is there.
Yep.
And you just know that every choice and every decision you make in life is still in the path to get to where you want to be.
Very good point.
Right?
That's exactly.
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm reading this book right now. It's called The Psychology of Money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really good book. And the guy talks about that, is that, you know, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have different things along the way. But if you're still focusing on that goal, you know, that's what's most important.
What's interesting also, Brad, is when it's in your being.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
People now are attracted to you. And every time they talk to you, it's about real estate.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, because that's who you are. That's who you are. You can't be anything different than that.
Me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you said. The first thing you think of is
real estate.
Right.
Absolutely. First thing I think of. Apartments, actually.
Not my good looks.
I think of apartments first. Well, that's Jess thinks of that, of course, first, you know. But no, it's usually just apartments is what I think. When I see big complexes, I think of you. I think about, I wonder if Kevin's involved in that. Does he own that? You know, who knows? I'm always looking to see if Metropolitan's involved there. So now this has moved on. Now you have other companies. One's, the Metropolitan Management Group is one that's been around for quite some time.
First, it was 1995 or something.
That's the one I remember. Then now you have a development group, a building group, and a commercial development type of a company. So you're doing commercial. The development thing is what I saw is taking off like crazy. I mean, you're developing land
all over the place.
That's a lot different than apartments.
Yeah. So how we got into that was, how it morphed all into this was, you know, I got lucky also, you know, when in 1986, when they changed the tax laws. Now you might be too young to remember that.
I don't remember that.
Before
exactly.
1986, wealthy people owned real estate for the tax write-offs.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So in 1986, they just write them off. They'd buy $1 million property, just write it off in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So they're trying to write off their income as a doctor or a lawyer or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So in 1986, they changed the tax laws, and therefore real estate had to become self-sufficient. You had to make money on your own.
Right.
So I happened to hit that right in stride. And people started selling all the real estate.
Ah, yes.
Because they weren't getting the same write-offs.
Right.
So
it didn't mean as much to them as it meant to you now.
Well, right. Because they didn't get the write-offs. You actually had to make money.
Right.
They didn't care about making money.
Right. Got it.
Right?
Totally get it.
So my first 5 or 6 properties were out of bankruptcies. Like I bought Washington Towers, Berkshire Gardens out of bankruptcy, Wyomissing Gardens out of bankruptcy.
I remember all these. Yeah.
So I bought them all out of bankruptcy because back in 1991, no one wanted to own apartments. It was a dirty business.
Wow.
Today, it's a very sexy business, right? Everyone wants to be in apartments. I mean, everyone, right?
Yeah.
So, but I've been doing it for 35 years back when no one wanted it.
And you got those at a good foundation too. You got those at a price of that time.
Yeah. I bought Wyomissing Gardens at $8,000 a unit.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
Back in 1981,
it's not even, I mean, what is, I don't even know what it is today.
Do you have time for me to tell you that story?
Absolutely. Go ahead. We got time.
Somebody walks into my office. I'm at the Metropolitan building that I owned in Center Park, Center Avenue.
Center Avenue. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And they said they were being evicted from their property. I said, "Where do you live?" They go, "Brookline Manor." I go, "What do you mean you're being evicted?" Well, the government's taking it back.
Yeah, I remember that.
So again, a light bulb goes off on my head. I'm like, the government's taking it back. So I did a little research. It was going up for a HUD sale. So I tried to get in front of the HUD sale and offer them money. And I was almost at the finish line. At the very end, we had a contract. And at the very end, they go, "No, we found another $500,000 in taxes you have to pay." I go, "I ain't doing it." So I was going to pay them $2.3 million. Right. So the government didn't sell it to me. They took it back and then they put another $1 million into it.
Wow.
And we're at an auction. So now they're putting up for auction, a year later, whatever it was. There's 3 people there. You had to give $100,000 certified check just to bid. And like it must have been 100 people there. And I'm only 25, 26 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And the first guy bid like $100,000. And I'm like, okay, I went to 700,000. Then there was only me and one other guy who bid. And there was 13 bidders who gave $100,000. They never bid. But anyway, maybe it wasn't 30. Maybe it was like 6 guys.
Yeah.
But he went, 900 and went 925. He went 1.1. I went 1.125. He went 1.3. I went 1.325. Going.
No way.
And I jumped out of my chair because like, I just bought it for 1.3.
And they fixed it up.
And they put $1 million into it. And that's your federal government tax dollars at work. I was going to give them 2.3 a year earlier.
This is why the government shouldn't own properties.
They shouldn't be involved in anything.
Be involved in anything, exactly. I agree with you there. So yeah, that's an amazing story. And you still have that property, right? Yeah, I still own it. Yeah. And it went from Brookline to being Why Missing Garden.
Which is another funny story.
You changed the marketing of it.
I changed the name.
Changes
I must
everything.
have got 8 phone calls from people on Why I'm Missing going, you can't do that. I said, listen, lady, I'll call it the goddamn state of Texas if I want. You can't. She goes, you're not in Why I'm Missing. I'm the next block over. I go, no, it's Why Missing.
It's Why Missing. It's Why Missing. Yeah, you can't tell somebody how to name the property.
Exactly. I got so many phone calls from people on Why I'm Missing.
I'll call it Texas Apartments. That's good. Oh, that's some good stuff, man. What a great story. So yeah, let's keep going. This is good. So let me go into, so you have all these development companies now. Now also, you have another thing called, I don't know if this is you, but Modus Equities. Is that you guys too?
It's another division, yeah.
It's another division, right?
Yeah.
And they're buying. That's a buying entity also.
It's another commercial buying entity.
Right. Because I see it on the D&B office there. I see it on their sign there. So, but yeah, so that's another company there. And so how's that going?
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I have 2 partners there, Brian Cole and Dan Gring.
Okay, so that's D&B.
Right.
Excellent. They're everywhere. I mean, I see their signs all over the place. So they must be doing. I want to actually have them both come in here and do a podcast because I have another seat here.
They're great guys. They're great partners. So 2 years ago, well, Brian's not involved in D&B as much as well. 2 years ago, we merged our company. I used to have my own apartment building company.
Right.
And so D&B and us merged.
Oh, cool. So awesome.
That's why we're growing.
It sounds like a good merge.
It was a phenomenal merge.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, and I've heard about that, which is great.
I think we would have done in 2019 $40 million.
Wow.
And now we're going to do $140 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
We're from Delaware to Philadelphia to Harrisburg. We're in Easton.
All with one property in Reading. It's amazing. So let's talk about this. So I had said before about what makes this all tick. We had talked about this right before we went live. Like this is a big machine now. This is not just you kind of just, overseeing everything. I mean, you do, but there's a lot of people involved now.
A lot.
Yeah. Like, so what's the secret sauce? Like, what do you say? Hey, if you want to start a business, you want to have good people, this is what you need to do, or this is how I do it. You're not going to tell me, are you?
Why would I give you the answers?
You don't like to give me secret sauce answers, I guess.
I don't know if there's one answer for it. For me, I don't even know if this is an answer or not. But when I was first building the company, I was so cheap and I drove every nickel, as you know.
I remember
my reputation.
Yes, you have a reputation. Yes, it does.
About how cheap I was.
Red Solo cups. We could tell that story another day.
Right. So, when you're an entrepreneur, you're just, you're trying to do what I realized later on is not to be so cheap and to share in some of the wealth. Mm-hmm. So over the last 5 to 10 years, I made people equity partners.
Oh, that's cool.
And I've given away the wealth and it's their company, it's part of their company. They're partners in it.
Yeah.
So I don't need to drive all these divisions. I have partners who drive them for me.
Yeah. So and that is brilliant. I mean, it's profit sharing basically, or if you want to call it that.
It is.
But what's nice about that is that the ownership, when somebody has ownership in something, it's amazing. Like I always say when I hear, people say they're paying for all their kids' college. That's great. That's all wonderful. But I also believe, and I don't have kids that are in college yet, so maybe it could change, but I believe there's got to be some kind of buy-in, whether they pay for their food or pay for something. I always feel that when you're getting something, you should have some kind of buy-in because it means more to you when you have buy-in. So when you have somebody like that you're making part of equity partners, when the company's losing, they're losing. When it's winning, they're winning. And I think that's great. I didn't realize you were doing that. And that's awesome.
Well, I do it not with all my divisions, not the apartment division as
No,
much.
forget that.
Right. So, but it's development because I've hired expert people who've been in the field for. Here's what I do: I give equity away. I won't say that's not that.
Give it away, yeah.
Give it
where
away.
It's earned,
right? Where I don't have expertise.
Gotcha.
So if I want to start a commercial division, which we started, I'm not an expert. I'm good. I'm okay at it. I'm not an expert. So if I bring an expert in, they want to be paid well. They want to be compensated well. They want skin in the game. Mm-hmm. So that's what we've done in the last 5 to 10 years.
And it's funny. Every story you hear about success is you have to realize your weaknesses and what you're not good at. Okay. And you need to hire or partner with the people that are good at that. Because we don't need 3 of you or 4 of you. You need people that do other things. And that's smart.
And it's so true because, when we have our staff meetings or our partnership meetings, you get that back and forth. And that's what
absolutely.
You want. You don't want everybody agreeing with Kevin.
No,
because
absolutely not.
You want that dialogue back and forth and you'll come to a better decision then.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So tell me, going through all this, I was talking about that book I'm reading and they talk about setbacks. What was your biggest setback in your career? Like anytime that you thought I'm done with this, I'm fed up. I want to do something else, or I want to get out of this. What was your biggest setback? What, you hear people all the time, oh, we filed bankruptcy on this company or this company. What was it? Do you have that story?
I don't.
Okay.
That's
awesome.
It's in my blood. I mean, I could go bankrupt tomorrow and start in real estate tomorrow.
It's funny.
The next day,
it's so true.
It's just, so I've never really had a business setback. I've had a personal setback.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've never had a business setback where I ever wanted to get out of it. Real estate is one of the most beautiful businesses on the planet, as you know.
Yeah.
It is just a beautiful, beautiful business. There's so many benefits to real estate, from tax advantages to 1031 tax exchanges to
there's a ton.
Equity, when you're knocking down your mortgage, your debt reductions as you're paying. There's a lot.
And also, I think what you're, it sounds weird, but what you're giving to the community. I mean, everybody needs a place to live. I think about what would Wyomissing and West Reading be now without the Metropolitan, without
Lofts at Narrow.
You see, seriously, look with B2 now, the success that is really starting to have. Yep. And that whole area is just gorgeous now. The development that has happened through Equus, I guess, who did a lot of that. And, to me, that's a destination now. I think finally in Reading, we have a destination like that, which I think is awesome. I'm very proud of it.
Please don't bring up Vanity Fair again, because I came in second on that bid. So you don't even want to know.
You should have told me this before we started talking now.
I live in the Metropolitan, by the way.
Yes, I know that.
So I've got to drive past that damn development every day of my life. And ask my kids, every day I just go, oh, that was mine. I don't know how I lost that one.
Did you not go high enough, I guess?
I don't, actually, I don't think it was a matter of price.
Okay.
It was a matter of expertise.
Okay.
And Equus kicked my butt. They're just
well, that's interesting. So you take that on.
Yeah. Their presentation was much better than mine. More professional. Now.
Did you learn from that?
Oh my God. Now with the staff I have.
Yeah.
And in fact, I just beat them out on a big deal. And it was like, I don't celebrate often. I celebrated that one because beating Equus out on a deal.
That's a big deal.
Because they're a few billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, they're a big deal.
To choose me versus them, that was a pretty cool feeling.
But you learned from that other one. That's cool. That's how you have to be. So, does fear ever play a part in your life? Do you ever have fear about, or sit there and go, oh man, this is making me nervous I just bought this, or anything like that? Like, is there any fear?
All the time.
Really?
Every single day.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I tell people, I don't know if it's necessarily as true today as it was for the first 30 years.
Yeah.
I wake up every day thinking I'm going broke.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You wake up every day thinking you're going broke.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that drives you?
It does.
Is that on purpose that you wake up that way?
No, it's just, I wake up, just afraid I'm going to lose it all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Has that always been there?
Always. I think it just gets you out of bed in the morning. It's a weird, it's a weird thing to say to somebody like, I'm a fairly successful guy. You're like, what do you mean you're going to go broke? How could you possibly?
Yeah.
It's not quite as there because I don't think I can really go broke for what I have now.
I'm pretty sure you can
but it's still that fear of,
But that's okay. You're human.
Yeah.
You're human. I mean, You never know.
I'm probably one of the most conservative people you'll meet.
Yeah, I know.
Which is
you are
just politically.
No, you are. No, I'm talking money wise.
Yeah. So I don't take big risk, and I do $80 million projects, and people go, how can you not take risk? Because it's all calculated for me. It's very,
it makes
very
sense.
Calculated.
That's not risk for you then.
It isn't not risk because it's really from an outsider's looking in. They're going, 80 million is not risk. Not if it's calculated.
Amazing.
So, and we were talking earlier, and it's development. We have 40 development projects going on right now where we're moving dirt or building buildings, 40 of them at one time.
And we have a housing shortage. So this is a good time for you to prosper, I'll tell you, because we need more houses in Berks County. How can you help us out there? I know a lot of it's our local.
It's government.
Government. Yeah.
It's all government.
Yes, exactly.
It's funny because all the I don't know how many, I don't want to say that because I don't want to piss off somebody. But it's all the municipalities, not in my backyard. Well, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Because everybody wants their own house until the field across the street. Oh, we want our house, but we don't want the next guy to have a house.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just crazy mentality.
It is. And I think also we preserved a lot too. We talked about that on this show before, where there's a lot of preservation that we did.
We should preserve.
We should, but you got to be doing it smart.
Exactly.
It has to be smart.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
You shouldn't preserve along 222 going from here to Kutztown.
No, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Preserve a half mile off of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sense.
I agree with you 100%. And we have an issue with that, with shortage of property. So I'll tell you what, we're going to have to wrap this up because this is a long show, but it's a good show. This is really good. I'm having fun. I'm going to have to bring you back again sometime.
We're done?
Almost. Yeah, almost. Well, I have another question. This is a good one. What is your why in life? Like what keeps you going? What keeps you moving? What is the reason that you are here and doing what you do? It's a deep question.
I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know if I have a single answer. I do what I do because it gets me out of bed in the morning and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a deal junkie.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about business.
Yeah. And life too.
Yeah. I'm a deal junkie. Life, my family, there's different reasons I do things. Yeah. But for business, I'm not a great manager. I'm a deal junkie. I could do deals like it's crack cocaine.
Yep.
It's just as many as I can do. I love.
That's interesting. So so you love that thrill, that excitement at the deal, right there at the deal.
Until the settlement table.
Right.
And then somebody else.
You need to do this.
Please, somebody else take it from there. But
that's
up
funny.
until that point, I love the negotiations.
Interesting. So I never knew that about you. I'm actually learning a lot about you. This is really cool. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to beat you at bocce ball someday. Maybe. What do you think? Is it possible? You've seen my moves. I'm pretty terrible.
I'm pretty sure I could beat you left-handed, Brad. I'm not.
So there's a thing here real quick about Kevin. Kevin plays he's really good at bocce ball, and he plays down at the shore. And we were down at his house one time, and we were playing bocce ball, and I got the lucky thing of being able to be Kevin's partner. And all I can tell you is I needed therapy after that because I got yelled at more than I've ever been yelled at in my life. What are you doing? You don't throw it that way. Throw it to the right. I mean, it was funny, but he is very good. But it was competitive. It's in my mind forever. So, but it was a good time. And I appreciate your friendship too. It's always been a good time. So thanks so much for being on, man. Is there anything else you want to say to wrap it up?
That's all I got. You're a good man.
It's all good. Well, thank you. You are too. All right. There you have it. Kevin Timochenko from Metropolitan Companies and all kinds of companies. I shouldn't even just say one. There's so much stuff going on there. But just look us up again. We'll be back next week. I'll have some other guests on and hope to see you soon.